Good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming in C, where we have the Phantom Power enabled on the interface, and we are doing some stuff on Cinera. So, last time, what we were doing was looking into a memory leak, which we thought we might possibly have, and we gave ourselves the ability to actually sort of measure memory usage, is what we did. So I'll show you how I do that. I'm doing it in I've done some macros that do this. Got this memory loop free, memory loop pre-work, and memory loop post. And basically what they do is they just, they get the usage using this particular call here. So this get our usage function is within sysresource.h. And it basically gets information about resource utilization. And one of the things that it can tell you is the memory residence of the current process, basically. So that's what I'm doing here. My get usage function simply returns the max. I think that's resident. I don't know what the all actually stands for. Resource usage max resident SS, whatever SS is. But yeah, so we're doing that. So it gets the usage and then it does a loop. It gets ready to do a loop. And then what we do inside this loop, we're actually supposed to, well, it says here, doesn't it? We're then supposed to call the freeing function. So before we do this, any of this stuff, we do the usual work. Then we call this. And then we call the freeing function, or functions, because there could be multiple functions that you want to free. And then call the mem loop pre-work, which is this thing here, and that's going to get the new usage and print out the difference between the new usage and the old. And then we call the function whose work, the freeing function is meant to free, and then call the mem loop post. And then having called the mem loop post, that will then tell you what the difference is between the overall difference between how much you used at the start of the loop, how much memory you used at the start of the loop, and how much memory you used at the end. So I'll show you how that's kind of operating. I think we're doing it on the Tokenize function at the moment. Yeah. So we've got Tokenize happening here. And Tokenize is what we're timing. So I'll just show you that. So this is it. It does 664,000 iterations. And having got to the end of that, basically this should be showing like the amount of memory difference between this iteration and the previous one. And then this number here is the overall thing, like how much the difference is between the initial memory usage and the current memory usage. And we see that Tokenize doesn't leak, but we also see that I think all of these don't leak. Like individually they don't leak. Yeah, so scope tree, that ain't leaking either. And finally, resolve variables. That doesn't leak either. So basically we've got this almost this entire function sort of being like individually sort of measured for leakage. So if we just turn off all of those, and if we go instead to here, now this thing is going to do the full config. So you can see here, this is the parse config function. Now parse config happens, and then when you want to be testing the freeing of the config and the reparsing of the config, basically. But it's really the freeing that we're really measuring, see what the memory usage difference is. So let's run this now, and you can sort of see, maybe that's showing up the non-zero values coming up here. Okay, so this means that we've leaked, we've essentially, I'm going to put leak in inverted commas. We've leaked 24 megabytes, that is, or 24,412 kilobytes. Is that coming across in the stream? Yeah, you can see that. All right, so that's where we've gone up to last stream. We sort of given ourselves the ability to do that, and we'd sort of measured these things. So since the previous stream, I actually did have a look into this to see what was possibly going on, and I think I understand a bit more about what is the cause of this, basically. So let me just illustrate that. In fact, I can illustrate it in another way by showing Tokenize. Yeah, so this is, I'll show you what I actually did actually. So remember the Tokenize wasn't leaking anything. So we've got this free tokens list function here. One thing that I did this. Okay. Basically, just as a way to completely zero out that tokens list struct. Then if I run it, you can see some non-zero functions. There's a value coming up here. Right, you end up with this basically the same value. Whereas previously, when this wasn't happening, let's do it again just to be clear about what's going on. Lots and lots of zeros. And we never zero. So my theory of what is actually going on here is that it's something to do, my first theory was that it's something to do with initializing something in this manner. So equals opening brace, closing brace. It might have been something to do with that, and I was thinking, would it be a compiler bug? So then I tried doing it a different way. I was like, what did I actually do? Tokens list count tokens. Yeah, I can't actually remember what I did now. I mean, it's possible I just did this actually. Tokens count equal to 0. It's possible I just did that. Because what's that? It's just tokens and counts. I did that and I realised that that didn't yield a leak. Oh, it is yielding a leak actually. Right, interesting. Yeah, again, this doesn't do anything. I'll continue with the story, and then I'll hopefully kind of give you my kind of loose-ish understanding of what's going on. Now, you can see here that we have an initialization of tokens list up here, and this initialization is happening within a loop, right? If we say that this is what we're testing, right, we're testing the freeing of the config. So this is going to be looping. It's going to end up looping over past config. It's going to be doing this 64,000 times, this function here. And it's going to be doing this initialization each iteration. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to run this first just to show you that where we're at, 64,000 times. I'm going to be leaking 24 megs. At least I hope we are. Yeah, I didn't build it because it's only time in Tokenize. Oh, that blimey. That couldn't be it, Brian, could it? That really threw my understanding off. But you can see there's non-zero functions values going by. So we've got 24 meg leaking. And that's continued. So what I'm going to do now is instead of having parse tokenize, parse configs, initialize this tokens list, I will instead initialize my tokens list out here, and I'm going to pass that in to the function, to the parse config function. I think that's all I need there. So pass the tokens list into there. Pass it into here. Free config, I think. Only takes the config itself, so it doesn't need to take the tokens list. And then a bit later on, we need to make monitor file system also take it, so we can pass it to thingy. Right. So all we've done there is we've taken the initialization of the tokens list out from the parse config function, and we've instead initialized it before calling it, and we passed that in to parse config. That's all we've done. And we're still timing the full config. Sorry, still measuring the full config. Right, so remember the full config previously was leaking 24 meg. We're now leaking essentially nothing. We're leaking 772 kilobytes over 64,000 iterations. So my theory is essentially it seems like it's something to do with like initializing hello said who 12. How's it going? It's something to do with initializing a variable and passing that variable to initializing a variable within a loop and passing that variable to a function by address. It seems to be something that's related to that. Wipeout 2048 on PSV. Fantastic. Well, I've got what is it? The Wipeout. I've got the PS4 one. Yeah, Wipeout's cool. Fantastic, like art, isn't it? Great visual language. Yeah, that's by the Designers Republic, who do the artwork for some of my favourite bands. It's a band called Alltecker. They do their art. Quick gander actually. 2048. Yeah, it's the Omega collection that I've got. I wonder if 2048 is kind of one of the modes it's got. Yeah, so it's got some stuff from 2048 in there. Yeah, I was playing through the campaign of that. Really enjoying it, but I got to a bit where I was like, not really doing very well anymore. Yeah. Nice style, yeah. Do you know on PS Vita you can jailbreak it, and even after jailbreaking your computer in a way where you are putting on it to play? What does jailbreaking do for you? Does that allow you to play like games you've made yourself, basically? Copied games. Interesting. PS Vita is emulates custom programs, etc. It's not all digital, is it then, PS Vita? I know the PlayStation 4 isn't all digital, but I tend to just buy the things from PlayStation Network. I mean, I could just like totally just get you onto the. You do have physical copies, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's ages since I've thought about copied games. In fact, it'd be going back to like the PlayStation 1, the original PlayStation, where I had like copied games. Notepad++, interesting. Cool. I mean, why not? Play a library copy. Right, yeah. Ah, I see. Yeah, do your own disabled. Cool. So yeah, we've got this thing. It was previously leaking 24 meg over 68,000 iterations, which now only leaking 772. And yeah, what I'm saying is, I think that it's something to do with, like I say, initializing a variable inside a loop and passing that, or somehow using that variable in a way that the compiler can't know that it might not change, if that makes any sense at all. So, in looking for memory leaks, I think my understanding is basically like, I'm going to separate them into explicit memory leaks and implicit memory leaks. And I don't know a lot of memory, really know. I'll explain what I mean by this explicit and implicit. So for me, an explicit memory leak is one where you have allocated some memory, and you then basically allocate that again without having previously freed it. So I'll show an example of that, how that could possibly happen. If you go into the free token, it might be. There should be a free field actually. Where are the fields? They're in the type spec, aren't they? It's a free type spec. Yeah, okay, so if you've got free type specs here, actually I think it's set type spec, isn't it? And this should do a fit, some description. Yeah, this thing here. You're writing software and working with and improving this math library, which will be used with it, but I was wondering on how you create a fast multi-threaded memory allocator. Oh gosh. I haven't done multi-threading at all, actually. Most of them go right overhead. Right. So I haven't done multi-threading at all. Yeah, I haven't even launched a thread. Yeah, no, I'm not writing a compiler interpreter. No, all this is it's just a website generator basically. So it's the thing that generates. If you go on Handmade Heroes website. It's the thing that generates this. That's all it is. Yeah, these aren't actually doing anything at the moment. But yeah, it generates this. But this is old news here, this actual stuff. It looks kind of different. Can I just could I show how that works? I think I might be able to show what it's doing. Don't like Casey. Well, I do it for other people also. Guy.risky business. Yeah. Oh, I'm not signed in, right. Yeah, but I do it for for Mio also. And you can't not like Mio, surely. Mio's a very mild-mannered and very... He's just a super good egg, basically. Okay. Kanamishiki is a lightweight and fast memory allocator. What am I on at the moment? Yeah, 13,500. Who's Mio? Let me give you some information. Yeah, so this is going to be his kind of, if you like, his business account, I guess you could call it. Actually, I'll tell you what, let me just see if I can do this. That might work. Yeah, so there you go, that's Mio, and it's Mio Iwakura. That's actually how he spells it. That's him. Risky.tv, you can get to there through his Twitter, I think. He's also got a Handmade network thing. Oh, it's risky, isn't it? You just put that at the front. Yeah, and then his thing. And he's also got an episode guide on this actual website, so you can sort of see. This is the early access one, so you need to be a Patreon to actually access this site. And I do this entire site actually. I do the generator for it, so it's doing the actual indexed episodes and the authentication or authorization. I do this whole thing, but that's Mio there. You can sort of see him. Yeah, and he's really into like risk 5 stuff. And he was at Handmade Seattle. He actually built a I could show you probably in here actually. He built an actual thing, so there should be an unbox at some point. So I don't know if the sound is coming through, but there he is. There's Mio, super happy with his. That's the lid. That's the lid of his case. In fact, that's probably obscured by my head, actually, sadly. I'm just listening to him. I don't think his audio is coming through. Yeah. And then he's got the bottom. So you basically designed this whole thing. Can I show where that was happening? It would be... So we've got administrative research and speech. Ah, he didn't design anything in the case on that day, don't think. Because it's drawing is what I called it. So we'll just turn off research and administrative. What topic? So I think in here we should be able to see, yeah, there he is. You can see him actually designing the actual case here. This is a final export. Well, yeah, this is what he was doing. So he's designing this case, and he got it 3D printed, and he took it to Handmade Seattle to sort of show off. And he has obviously an actual RISC-V computer as well. Is this a thing? Yeah, there you go. So this is the thing that it's actually the Ive Unleashed. That's what he actually has. That's what he has. Yeah. Just one moment. I'll just go back to what you were saying. But then I followed John for 2 years. I probably each other's stuff against me. Just every but just going to change forward. Oh, that's a shame. Might agree with them in some areas. Did we remember their community for like 4 months? So yeah, without wanting to air my dirty laundry on a public stream, then Lusania, right? I'm not familiar with that person. So yeah, I mean, I've been, I've been following Handmade Hero from the very beginning, basically the very beginning, like a month into it or something, and then from Handmade Hero sprang the Handmade community and Handmade network, basically. So I've been involved I was involved from quite early on, and yeah, for me it's been kind of cool, but over time I've kind of drifted away a bit, and I think I've kind of experienced a bit of the stuff that you're sort of talking about. But what I will say is that there are people within the community that, I mean, I think actually almost most of the people in the community I actually really like. I have a lot of respect and admiration and affection for a lot of people. But as a community, I just think it sort of took a bit of it kind of diverged from where I wanted to go in a little bit. So yeah, I mean, at the moment I don't really fully identify an awful lot with the community, and sadly I'm not as like chatty with people that I do like. And yeah, I don't use Discord actually. So yeah, I'm basically just doing my own thing at the moment. And I mean, I'm hoping to actually build. I don't know if it's a product of just the way that these communities are communicating. It just naturally leads to crap communities. I don't know if that's anything to do with it at all, but there's something that I'm actually going to hope to build myself. I think it's there. Yeah, if I just give you this link. Is that actually the right thing? Yeah, decolonization. So I'm hoping to make this kind of a thing. And then, I don't know, maybe sort of, it's not going to be geared towards an actual community. It's just really a way for people to communicate. And then hopefully communities can like just kind of spring up on it if they want to. But I just kind of wonder if this sort of thing could sort of foster more functional communities, basically. Right, so Notch didn't say an extraordinary experience. That's because Notch is a very well-known person, isn't he? So to have a quote from Notch is quite something. Game of the year. Again, I'll tell you what, mate. This is exactly the kind of thing that I'm trying to get away from, actually. So if you just look in this, we're talking about stuff. It's really the referencing, which is the key thing here. Basically, what I'm trying to get away from is stuff that's baked in, essentially. So what I mean by that is this thing here is baked in the sense that it is it's an image actually, isn't it? But there's no reference to where Notch actually says this. Now, it wouldn't be beyond the wit of man or woman to actually, when they have a quote like this on their website, for them to just link to the goddamn quote. So somebody can actually see where Notch said this and in what context, basically. Because it's actually possible that it's possible that Notch said this about something, but it wasn't about forgiveness of the game. But the guy who's done forgiveness of the game has just appropriated this quote for himself. And you can plausibly say, the person who did this can plausibly say that Notch said an extraordinary experience, and they can have a link. Well, they wouldn't have a link to him saying it because in context it would show that it wasn't about this actual game. But the thing is, if he had the link, if basically, it's really what I'm trying to do in this thing here is just kind of normalise the idea that basically it's just referring things to everything and keeping everything in context. So you just can't have a situation where this happens. Because when you don't, if you've got that normalised and people always expect there to be context, then if a situation happens where somebody's put this on their website and there's no kind of context for it, it's an immediate red flag for people. They're just like, yeah, sorry mate, there's no context for this. I just don't believe you. So that's basically what I'm trying to do with that thing, or what we're hoping to try. Never mind risk 5. Control scale like a can't buy risk machine have no use. That's fair. You can do graphics on the Ive Unleashed, by the way. You can get a what is it? It's like an extension board. Is that what it's called? I think it's an extension board that you can actually plug a GPU into. So Mio actually has. I think I can show you, can't I? he actually runs Fedora. Actually, you need to go to here. So this is on. So this is he's using his laptops somehow. I think it's his laptop, or maybe it's just a separate. I think it's a separate monitor that's powered across the actual HDMI cable or something. But this is actually running the Ive Unleashed, the RISC-V thing. So you can totally do graphics if you want. Right. It's about something else. Yeah, exactly. Just to that face. And that's the thing, isn't it? You do just sort of take stuff face value. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I'm trying to do with the that thing. It's basically trying to get away from that capability of people to actually be disingenuous, or be liars, basically. Yeah, it's just basically to try and make it difficult for people to spread disinformation, really. Yeah. So, just close these guys out. I think you might just have to bear with me. Just give me just 5 minutes. Just need a quick break. I've been going for like 40-50 minutes, but yeah, I don't think I can help with this. But when I return, don't need that. When I return, I will continue, I guess. There is, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, Linux runs on RISC-V. They've got Linux running on it, so they got it building on RISC-V. I think just GCC actually. Yeah, have a look. While I'm away, I was going to put the Be Right Back screen up. I'll be 5 minutes, and I'll be right back. So, yeah, exactly GCC. Yeah, be right back in a bit. Ivex, I'm back. Am I back? Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I'm from the UK, sadly. But I have, on my dad's side, his family's from Goa in India. And Goa is actually like a Portuguese colony. So I guess I've got ancestry going back to Portugal, I guess. But yeah, I sort of basically identify as Anglo-Indian, really. That's basically what I am. Oh, I've got no music, by the way. Okay, so it's still probably playing. And I've got Tori Amos coming up. I've got an hour of... yeah. Okay, so... Algerian, 100%. Algerian, cool. I know basically nothing about Algeria. I want to say it's in Africa. It is in Africa, isn't it? Yeah. That is Africa, isn't it? Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, North Africa, yeah. Jesus. You see, you'll probably get to realise that I sort of doubt myself quite a bit. Maybe we can go into the history of Algeria at some point. But yeah, I wanted to show you the current state of the program, wasn't it? That's all I wanted to show. So, yeah. So it's done something. But I don't think it's actually generated any files. Oh, I think I've commented out most of the stuff, haven't I? Yeah. So if I just let some of this actually happen. The reason I commented it out was just while I was testing the memory leakage stuff. I think this should reload. Oh no, stop program. Alright, so something's not happened there. We've appended that, so have we got at least something? Yeah. So Risky's got no title, apparently. Is that true? Why is that? Okay, yes, the title's coming from there. Yeah, so basically, it's not complete because we're missing some stuff. Probably from the include file, or probably one of these things I just haven't been enabled. But basically, the difference now is that we have this this page that collates multiple projects, basically. So you've got the Risky project here, Riskalanius there, which is, it hasn't even generated that. I mean, it has generated, but it hasn't managed to process a file. And then the computer organization design. So it's collated them all, and you can also sort of sort that, if I can just re-enable that. You can sort that, and also you can sort, this now actually works, sorting of that, whereas previously, if you've done a search, it doesn't actually, the sort doesn't apply to the search results. So yeah, it's just one of those things. But yeah, now that happens. So yeah, the new thing is this page that collates all the projects. And the config itself, actually. Oh, it's unfortunate I can't read this. Well, the eventual Rico X64. I think you'd be best asking Mio for a start, but really risk is, I mean, it stands for reduced instruction set. Computing. Yeah, reduce instruction on computer. I mean, honestly, yeah, I mean, is it something to do with making them actually easy to produce and less expensive, maybe? And maybe they prioritize sort of the communication between, like the operability between instructions, so that you can kind of build up bigger instructions from smaller sets of instructions. Rather than having purpose-built instructions for specific things, or for more complex things. But as for like the actual performance of them, I'm honestly not actually sure. Yeah, as I say, we're best asking Mio. I mean, unless he actually spoke about himself, honestly. Let's just see, it's a quick gander in the guide. So, because I can't remember actually off the top of my head if he's actually compared it. The excitement for units capable RISC-V system coming out relatively soon. If you want to learn on a computer, RISC-V is a good resource. So, understandability of the computer, perhaps, is a good point about them. Yeah, but I've done nothing with it myself, so I don't actually have any hands-on experience. Basically, my here we go. So Mio is being asked, if you don't mind me asking, what is RISC-V here? I mean, maybe he does a bit of comparison here. How long did he talk about this? He's talking about it for about 2 minutes, isn't he? Yeah, so hopefully that'll take you to that index. Yeah, and plug bitwise. Yeah, Per also spoke about instruction set architectures himself. Let's just have a quick gander. I'll just have a look at this, and then I will definitely like to proceed. So did he talk about RISC at all? Yeah, so here we go. Set of RISC-V. Introduce RISC-V. I mentioned the case of reducing. Right, so here we go. This is Per Vonson talking about it now. He speaks about it for about 5 minutes here. bear with me while I get this thing into my actual, into the correct clipboard. Right, there you go. Possibly. Yeah, I think it's simplicity and flexibility is what I'd probably say. And it seems to be used in embedded systems, so low power usage, I guess, is another thing. You know, like if you've got smaller dies, like, you know, like smaller CPUs, which I think is what it means. Like when you've got fewer instructions, you actually have fewer bits of circuitry that is actually doing things. I mean, there's less physical space that needs to actually travel. That the electricity needs to travel. But then it's like making sure that you've got the routes between them and the communication between all the different ones to make sure they can work well together. I guess that's something to consider. But do take all this with a great big pinch of salt, because I haven't done anything on it, so I'm not that knowledgeable really. Yeah, so we've stopped actually following these things. So far this stream, right? All I've done, remember, is I've initialized this out here and passed this in, passed the tokens list in to parse config, and then having done that, we're using we're leaking a lot less memory. Like this loop here is leaking a lot less memory. Let me just do that again. I think I've done this the right way, I think. Yes, there's lots of zeros. And after 64,000 iterations, 700 and something, isn't it? Yeah, 748 kilobytes. So somewhere in there, there's probably somebody who's doing a similar thing as this, right? They're probably doing this initialization inside a loop that is being passed to another function. That's my guess. And the way to kind of get rid of this would be to actually lift that initialization, wherever that is, up a layer so it's outside of the loop, and pass it in to the function that's looping. And that way I think we wouldn't be leaking anything. That's my theory. But since it's only 748 kilobytes, over 65,000 iterations, I'm kind of going to make the call that it's just not worth it. It's one of those sorts of, it's a nice to have thing. Right, because if I just loop over it, I think this is going to be 256 times. I don't think it's going to leak once, basically. Well, okay, strangely enough so it already manages to leak. So after the 13th iteration it leaks that much. But then if I do this, after 64,000 iterations we're leaking about that much. So we've done, probably haven't got the buffer for it. Okay, so yeah, after 13 we leak. So after 13 we leak. Unlucky 13. Isn't that interesting? I wonder if it's just leaking after 30 iterations and that's it. Which is a bit weird. Okay, yeah, so what I'm making. In fact, I've got a paper for myself actually. It's Cinera. Annotation. So I need to change this because I'm specifying this. It's not really annotation in column indexes. So what it is, it's the program that actually generates the HTML web pages that is doing all of this basically. So I'm the person who writes these indices, right? To show you how to do that. I'll just show you for here. Say for example this code 512. So where are we up to? 574. Right. So if I just look at day 574, I write the actual indices for this. You can see recovers at stage for they're making the raycaster. Recovers at stage for making the raycaster, produces stable, whatever. So I basically take the videos and I index them using this format here, this markup. And what Cinera does is take these and processes them in order to produce the actual HTML files. I mean, that's basically it, really. And the new bit, the new stuff that I'm doing is actually a config file, basically. So it's this thing on this side. So this file format is another thing that I did myself. So basically I'm just started to parse this config file. And the reason for this is it just makes it easier to like get new things on. Because previously what I had to do, in order to add people like, so I started off with Amatero, and then I had Risky Business, and then I had Bitwise. I've also had other things, but the way that I had to actually previously get them into the system was by changing the C file. So somewhere up here, well, it's probably not. It's not going to be in this file. But I used to have to change the C file and rebuild it and push out a new version of the C file, the new version of the. Well, yeah, I do release this source, so a new version of the C file to add a new project. That's basically it. So yeah, the config will just save me how to do that. Really. All right, cool. Well, cheers for stopping by, and stay safe, I guess. Yeah, stay safe in the cool history of Algeria. So yeah, 764. So what I was basically saying was, I'm just not going to bother caring about 768 kilobytes after this number of iterations. Although I think before I just move on, if I just do 12 iterations, does it leak? No. Very weird if it is just 13 iterations and then that's your lot. Yeah, it's 0 indexed. Ah, so that wasn't quite. interesting that it is that. Iteration 30. I mean, I guess another way of doing it would be in this loop. If we find that the new is greater than the old, then we sleep. We could do that, couldn't we? So we can at least eyeball that. Yeah, another way of doing it would be to actually push that number onto some sort of an array. Yeah. It was 16, wasn't it? To get to 64,000. Yes, the iteration 13 didn't like it. Yeah, I hadn't spotted that it's just one iteration didn't like. Yeah, okay, so £770 we're losing in a single iteration. I mean, yeah, I'll say that it's good that we've got this new ability to actually eyeball those at least. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on. I'm going to decide against investigating this. And just leave that as sort of a bit to do. I suppose another way to do this would be to actually call it the the passcode frequency memory lead that occurs on the 13th, 14th iteration. I think that should be an understandable note. I think. And yeah, like I say, let's move on. So we're not going to time this. We're now going to move on, and we're going to be doing the full thresh config, if that makes sense. And if everything is working as it used to be working, then it should actually segfault. So what this is doing here is essentially, this is emulating what happens when we reload the config, basically. Yeah, perfect. Now, have I got some more stuff happening there? Yeah, it was. This wasn't it. So we've got 12 iteration. Yeah, so I guess each iteration. Hey, I'll tell you what. 12 iterations, and the previous thing was leaking on the 13th iteration, wasn't it? If you remember. See how this fares again. Hey, I'll tell you what. This is actually going to be kind of helpful, isn't it? You might be able to squash that leak by just investigating this segfault. So let's see where we're actually present. So we leaked. Now this is misleading because this is talking about the debug symbols now. Now they always just pile up. Fortunately, this is going to hopefully crash. Yeah, and of course we're not going to get the crash, are we? Yeah, that is unfortunate. I've had this problem before. The problem was, it was something to do, what was it? I think it was something to do with buffers. It was trying to write into a buffer that couldn't fit the stuff. I think that's what the problem was. Basically, in a debug build, it was allotting in the full space that we thought we needed, whereas in the optimized build, it wasn't allotting all that space that we thought we needed. And I think we were kind of like overwriting something else. That was the problem I think that we were having. So it's my assumption is that that's the kind of thing that we're actually investigating here. That's the problem that we're hitting. So yeah. We could print out where we get up to, couldn't we? Because the trouble is, if we do this, we can't actually step in. I'll just show you why. Alright, so there we get that. Okay, so we've hit the segfault, but we can't actually see where we got up to. Well, we can sort of see that we get it up to sync DV with input. Oh yeah, I should actually do a couple of things I've just remembered. So free type spec, I think it needs to do some things. Is this true? Does it have to do this? Because we free the field count and set the thing to be that. Or was it the field? Could have been the free. Yeah, does this matter actually? No, it's a tokens list, isn't it? Tokens list is the thing. Yeah, I think it was this actually. When we do the free tokens. Yeah, my thing is basically I need to do this. That was basically it, really. I might just do that before here. Although it doesn't matter because it's separate from the token. Well, yeah, we did before. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think that's something that we probably do need to do. Just to make sure that it's fully initialized to nothing. Yeah, and freeing the tokens, we'll just do that. It'll just it'll free this entire information here, so that doesn't need to be touched. It's just these people here which we just need to touch, possibly. Alright, so save that. So again, sync DB with input. But yeah, as I say, we don't actually get the debug symbol, so we can't actually step through it. Because if we try and step, well, we can't even. You know, you go up, but you look what you presented with. You presented with the assembly, which doesn't super help me, does it? So if we go up again, will we get up to init all? Will it be the call? Will we see sync project as the line before us? Yeah, we do. So we're now in init all, yeah. So we're 713 lines, or 713 bytes after the call to sync DB with input. we're trying to compare bytes, I guess. So yeah, it's a comparison, I think. So assuming that sync TV with import is where we actually are. So we're trying to wrap I. So obviously the strings differ the comparisons. Let me just double check actually. I mean, CMP sort of suggests to me that it's comparing. What language are we talking about here? It's x86-64, isn't it? This is the ATT compare byte pointer. Compare operands. Yeah, I think these are talking about comparisons, aren't they, anyway? So I think I'm correct in thinking that CMP means compare. Yeah, and also that is compared against null, isn't it? Ah. Is that it? Is it just trying to dereference null? Hey, dude. Could it just be that? Can't predict one set. No, we have seg filters, it's still. It's possible the config isn't set actually. Shouldn't that be set though? Alright, let's just go back to basics and do some printfs. Right. So let's just do that one more time. Oh, there's no theme set. Hang on a minute. What is that? So it's a string. Oh. No, we can't print this approach in the same way, I don't think. Can we? No, because it's a different type of project. Let's go back to that actually. What we're talking about here is this. I mean, Let's print it in purple as well, actually. Magenta. So we have got that. I guess it's not on this iteration. Just bear with me. Let's continue. I suspect it wasn't the right iteration. So seeing that, I'm going to sleep for 4. We're going to get through the other 3 and 4, aren't we? Sleeping for an alarmingly long time, isn't it? Shouldn't that be... What on earth is it waiting for? Probably better off actually not sleeping at all, won't I? Probably. So I can just let it go, basically. So here we go. So this end product, I think what we need to do actually, when we free the database, we actually need to also reset the neighborhood, don't we? Which we don't take yet, but we can do. That's no problem, because it's just the end, isn't it? Really, we wanted to take the config, did we? Does it take the config? No. Sounds a bit weird. Oh, hold on a minute, was that it? Actually, was that the problem? I wonder, that we're passing a variable to it that shouldn't have been taken. Wait a minute, what's going on there? Oh, it's because I didn't actually specify. Was that, did I? So this is where we were, but there was a call to discard all and pre-config, which actually passes the config. Yeah, that was a straight up bug, because if I do that, it shouldn't allow it, should it? Yeah. So that was garbage. Let's just see if that makes a difference, actually. No. So get here 1 and 2. Which iteration is this on? Yeah, again it's the iteration 13. Alright. So how does this affect us? So we still don't like it. Same iteration. So free the neighborhood hasn't helped us. We don't have the neighborhood. Hold on a second. What we're doing is discard all the free, pass configure init all. So that's taking the neighborhood. And again, where is my, what are we talking about? We're talking about syncdb with input. So that's getting called by syncdb. So we init the db, which isn't touching the neighborhood at all, is it? neither's this, for that matter. So it does sort of seem like the neighbourhood is nothing at this point. We're going to init all. This hasn't taken the neighbourhood, this hasn't taken the neighbourhood. This hasn't, this hasn't. So how's that actually passing the neighbourhood through? Seek DB with input. Oh, sorry, that's getting called down there. So that's getting called by sync project. Yeah, sync project is the thing, isn't it? So you want to go through syncing the project. If the current project is not the P, we want to free the file hit the neighbourhood. Maybe we just need to actually init the neighbourhood. Is that true? Like all the time, just init it. Free the database file. Hang on a minute. Why on earth do we think that we need to free the database file? That's our problem, isn't it? Isn't it? Oh, it's the index file. Sorry, yeah, the DB metadata is the thing that we don't need to be touching. Okay, so I can buy that. Oh yeah, that's the other thing we need to remember. Tokenize. Just let that happen. That was watching the config files. So if the current project is not equal to the project that we passed in, oh. Actually, hang on. Current project. Oh, we need to just not set the. We need to null out the current project. Isn't it? Discard all. We need to null that. Don't we? So after a number of iterations were leaking. We're leaking almost a kilobyte per iteration, aren't we? Kind of hilarious that the only thing I needed to do was just to set that current project to nothing. So it's increasing by 60-ish every so often. I'll just let it run to completion. And then I think I'll close the stream and get some tea. I also think the reset neighborhood actually doesn't need to happen because init neighborhood actually does the reset neighborhood for us, which we actually we determined that when we were first doing this function. We determined that when the init neighborhood function actually happens, it will itself reset the neighborhood, relieving us of the need to do it. So I think I will just do that actually. I'll let this happen, then I'll let the reset neighborhoods not happen. Relieve this of taking the neighborhood. $61,398. Yeah, so it does about 1,000 iterations before it starts to fail, before it actually leaks the memory. Oh, we're now leaking 6 meg. I think that's what I'm understanding from that. So after 64,000 iterations of this, we're leaking this much. I'm not exactly sure why it's... Oh, it's just it's monitoring, so it's not actually sleeping. But it's sleeping, but it's just in normal leap. Oh, need to make it take void actually. why we were actually hitting that though. Yeah, I mean, it sort of seems like they just happen to be in the same place. Like this project and the current project happen to be in the same place on the 13th iteration. I think is what we're seeing there. So it didn't bother to free the file, it didn't bother to set that current project. And it didn't bother to init the neighborhood. So when we came down to do sync project and call syncdb with import, it hadn't bothered to set the neighborhood. Yeah, it hadn't bothered to initialize the neighborhood correctly. It's the thing, isn't it? So this neighborhood project was pointing into old news. I think that's what was going on there. So yeah, I've relieved that of resetting the neighborhood. I think I will just go to the mem loop. Just prevent this from sleeping just for the moment. Just so we can let it all run and just see how much we're actually leaking by the end of it all. I think we're just halfway through. 40,000, I think. Let's see. 50,000. 60,000. Yeah, okay. So after 65,000 iterations, we're leaking 6 meg. And I mean, again, that sort of seems to me like it's one of those implicit memory leaks. Because I think after 65,000 iterations of me allocating and freeing, if I wasn't freeing enough stuff, then how can I put this? Basically, the allocations that I'm making, I assume, are like too great for us to actually be only leaking 6 meg after doing all of that stuff. That's my assumption. Now, I suppose another side of it is, has that actually generated anything at all? I'm not sure I can tell actually if it has generated it. Because I don't know if that's generated nothing or if it's, I can actually see from. Yeah, this is the case then. I actually need to handling the deletion of this when there's actually nothing to do. tell you what, before I go, what I'm going to do is just let some of this actually generate some stuff. What is it that I need to do? So ignore privacy true. Medium run. Oh, I know why that was the problem. That's from because we're not including the thing. Let's just include that file. We've got medium programming here. Let's not do that, and instead allow this to happen. Let's just see how we fare with that. Well, it worked. It reloaded at least, so it's generated those guys. And now we should see that this has changed. The day 2 was the top. Yeah, now day 0, 0, 0. Let's just see how the whole thing fares, looping over this lot multiple times. In fact, that's going to take quite a while, so let's just give ourselves a few less. It doesn't need to take 65,000 iterations. I think it was 8 meg, wasn't it, that we were previously leaking? Meg 666 83. Okay, so yeah, we are consuming, definitely consuming a fair amount of memory there. I might actually say that we are leaking. There's actually some explicit memory leaking happening. $160. Got no idea where we're up to, by the way, here. Like, what iteration we're up to. See, my processors are all completely basically pegged. It's good that this is actually still responding though. It's kind of nice. Let's just try and see where we're up to. Oh my god, we're only on iteration 703. Right. Okay, so yeah. After this number of iterations, we're using up 221, and we used up 264 kilobytes more than the previous iteration. $264 more than the previous again. 264. Interesting. 264. So it's simply something that is, well, 264 times by 2 is 528. 264, yeah. So it sort of seems like each iteration we're just leaking 264K. That's basically what we're talking about. so I don't need to let that finish. It's good though that we have actually fixed that seg fault. So yeah, I mean, today was memory cleanliness again. I guess it did count as persistence also, because we got the actual full kind of discard refresh to happen. So we did some cleanliness and persistence, and next time it's going to be some more cleanliness, I think. We're just going to have to see where this 264 kilobyte thing is happening. Yeah, I'm not going to start investigating that now because it's past the time I wanted to finish. So I will finish right there and print this up the next time. Investing our 264K league when doing the full fresh config loop and risky is configured. So thank you very much, heroes and heroines, for being here, for being memorable, and for being clean, for being cleanly. Until next time, farewell for now.